Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the HumanizeHer podcast. I'm your host, Erica Lockheimer, and I couldn't be more excited to be with you today. This is truly a movement and also a passion project of mine to celebrate women's voices, their stories, their endeavors, their challenges, all of it. We are going to have so much fun together learning about all of them. Let's do this and dive in. First of all, this is a moment of celebration because we have one of our top guests. We're going to a little cling here. We needed to have champagne and wine. One of our first guests
right now. Cheers relay.
We have Caroline Ghantous here, who is a Middle Eastern artist that drew all these paintings behind me.
Gorgeous.
Like, I mean, her artwork.
The paintings and you.
Well, yeah. It's both of them. And it's such an honor to, number one, have you here. And this is like, it's okay. We could talk about how we met each other and we cried. So you're an artist, you're a graphic artist, you've worked in the corporate world, and now you're going solo, following your passion, doing your work. And I just want to say thank you for coming here. I know you're here visiting family, which is, what are the odds? You live in Dubai,
I know.
And we found each other online, and then here you are. So I actually, before we go in a little bit, I want to share how I met you. And it was maybe May in this room, and we had just built out this studio, and a good friend of mine that I've known for 25 years, Valerie Sassani, we were sitting here because she's head of brand and marketing. She's like a badass in her own right. She's like, Erica, we got to talk about business model. We got to talk about decorating. We got to do this. And so we sat in here in this room, and I was like, how are we going to decorate the studio? And I was like, should I put a fireplace? She's like, no, you need to do you, which is like, you love art. You love focusing on women. And we sat here on the ground, and she said, I know this amazing artist that I've been following on Instagram for so long. And I said, well, show me who this person is. She showed me your art. And as soon as I saw your art and who you paint, I mean, we have Frida, I don't know, you name all the people.
Yeah, Dolly, Amy, Serena, Alicia, Gloria, RBG, and of course, Frida,
yeah.
She's like the inspiration.
And those
for
are just the
everything.
ones we have on the wall.
Oh,
you have so
art
many
galleries
others.
everywhere. And so I just reached out to you, and I said, hey, I want to create, some art in the background. And you immediately responded.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what more could I ask for? It's like the best collaboration. Honestly, it just works.
No.
I think it's just perfect.
Our missions align so well
Yeah.
too with what you're working on with
Yes.
your art and the focus that you have. So it just made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said, I want to do something a little custom. Are you up for it? And you said, yes. And then we said, hey, let's get on the phone.
Yeah.
And we did a VC call.
Yeah. The timeline was a bit harsh, but,
But
we did it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, because what did I say? It was like May, and I'm like, we're going to shoot in May. Maybe we talked in April.
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 I had like a few
month?
weeks to,
Sorry, a little pressure.
Yeah. It's okay. It worked out.
But look at you, you're a badass and you made it happen. And
thanks.
that's why you're awesome.
Thank you.
Well, the other thing is some of these were paintings that you already had done.
Yes,
And
yeah.
then I asked, can you do Frida?
Yes.
Can you, and then can you do RGB? I think, and then Amy Winehouse was another one. And
Yes,
Dolly. Oh, wait.
Dolly.
Actually, which ones did you already have? I think
So
you already
I had Serena, Alicia, and Gloria. They were ready. And then the rest, Frida, I had her, but she was in Athens at a gallery. And I was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was going to see how I could ship it from Athens to you or back to me. And then I sent everything together. But the timing wouldn't work. So I just created a new one for you.
Wow.
She's a bit different. They don't look the same. And the size is different. Yeah.
Is it a different version of her
No,
then?
it's the same painting. It's the same image of her.
Yeah.
But it looks different.
No.
Yeah.
So, and what's cool about it is you probably can't see on the video version, but there's embroidery incorporated into your art, which is beyond cool.
So this is something new. I'm starting to add more depth and layer to it.
And that's what excited me. She's even sent me a message. She's like, "What color do you want the embroidery?" I'm like, "Are you serious? I get to choose?" I'm like, "You choose. I don't want to mess this up."
So is the original, does it have embroidery as well?
The one in Greece is also has embroidery, but I've done a few other Fridas that don't have it. So yeah, it's just something that I'm adding to my paintings.
It's awesome. It's phenomenal.
And you can have gold work.
I think you have two or three up here, two of them that have embroidery.
Alicia Keys has, some embroidery. Wow. It's just, she was one of the first ones I started with. Amy, the first one I did also had embroidery, but I didn't have enough time here.
That's okay. It's beautiful.
Little tight timeline. It's okay, but you delivered. Oh my goodness.
So what's the other medium though that you use? Besides embroidery, is it watercolor or is it
So it's watercolor.
sketch?
So I sketch them out first and then I use watercolor. Yeah.
Wow.
And I use metallic paint, and the metallic paint, I kind of mix it myself. So that's just another layer. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and you know what was cool is that she was sending me the stages of the painting. So it's like, here's a blank canvas, and then here's how she's drawing it, and then adding to it. And it was, I've never experienced that before.
The evolution of art.
No, yeah, it was pretty amazing. Okay, so we got to ask, because everybody asks when they come and see this, they're like, why doesn't she have a mouth?
Yeah.
And so tell us what, and we've honestly heard like, oh, you're trying to not have her speak or what. And it's like, for me, I was like intrigued, right? So I would love to hear your story on the why you have painted.
Of course, it's the first question.
Going right to it.
Yes. So, I mean, as cliche as it might sound, the eyes are the windows to your soul. And so every expression, every emotion, you see it through the eyes. Yeah. And so when I started this series, it was a while ago, I was just sketching, and I actually drew the nose and the mouth, but I started filling in the eyes. And I felt like you don't need the rest of it. So I started erasing it and focusing on the eyes. And I've always loved to draw and paint hair. It's just the flow of it, and it's relaxing for me. So I just did it as an addition to the eyes. And so with time, I started realizing, like when I get feedback from people or questions from people of why, that it's like you give room for interpretation as well. Like, so however the audience is feeling, if you're looking at a painting, you're going to see what you want to see through the eyes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I had this show a couple of years ago in Dubai, and funny enough, the men would ask me, why are you silencing the women?
I'll be honest, some of the men, yeah.
And they were local men. Why would you think I'm silencing them? I'm actually, especially in the Middle East, a lot of women are silenced. So I feel like I'm giving them a voice. Yep. So kind of a voice for the voiceless, kind of helping them communicate in a different way.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
And I love the point of interpretation, because it is true, because it is like a thing that's missing from it. And so then it allows, whatever your feeling is of what you want to think about that painting. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And like the eyes, it's the windows to the soul, like you said, but you can interpret that as, is that pain? Is that mystery? Yeah. Is that inquisitive? Is that challenging something?
Exactly.
What is that they're looking for?
There was, especially I painted the geisha, one of the first ones. Everybody was like, is she shy? Is she being seductive? Does she have a secret? Everybody was just kind of interpreting them in their own way. So
is that fun for you?
Yeah, of
as
course.
An artist, to hear how other people see it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it kind of pissed me off when the guy was just like, why are you silencing them? I'm like, I'm not silencing them.
It's the opposite, actually, sir. Exactly. Thank you.
But it just gives you different perspectives, right? So you just have to accept where everyone's
Do you ever
have
a person that sees it the way that you saw it when you were painting?
Yeah. A lot of people do, which is also nice, because that's what I'm trying to represent. Especially with famous people, with celebrities, it's kind of hard to use the emotion also. Like, I think with people, if it's more personal, or people that aren't famous, you can interpret it in your own way. But like celebrities, we kind of know
who they are a little bit more.
So it's a bit harder to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. But then I'm just thinking, obviously I'm a big, huge Frida fan.
Yeah.
And then knowing all the pain that she's been through and everything. So when I look at that painting, I actually, although she seems smiling, I also see the pain. So you actually see both, which is, even though she's really well known and you know the history, I actually feel that it's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of trying to find women who aren't as famous, who are more activists, feminists, women who are making a difference in different societies and cultures. And I'm trying to move away from the celebrities.
Yeah.
So just
because they're recognizable,
Exactly.
but at the same time, what is their why?
Yeah.
What's their purpose?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So more recently, there's the model. She's Native American, Quanah Rose. I don't know if you know her.
No.
She's from Alaska, and she's an environmental activist and feminist. And then there's another lady from Ivory Coast who's also a big feminist. So I'm trying to find other women to paint right now.
Yeah. So really back to your point earlier, the voice of the voiceless. It's like you could argue that people that are celebrities they already have a voice. So how do you find these other voices and give them a platform to actually hear them? And
how do you find them? How do you do you research? Do you get people's recommendations?
I ask a lot of people for their recommendations. I'm on Instagram, on social media, trying to find the hashtags. I go through the hashtags and see different women.
Smart.
And is it global? Like,
global.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we should follow your list of who you
So we can interview.
So we bring them on here.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
it's true, because we have some people that are obviously well known that we bring on to here, but we have the same perspective of the voice of the voiceless.
Yeah,
like
we can
that's
share
the
lists.
No, it's the whole reason for the platform. It's like, how else can you elevate and support them? Because the people that already have the voice, they're already getting the money coming in to support their initiatives. But how do you actually start? You kind of need
so
to be
many
told.
badass women that we know of, but there's also so many badass women that we don't know.
Absolutely.
Best kept secrets, I like to call it.
Yeah,
Best kept secrets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many. And that's why I feel like this can go on forever. And some people are like, don't you want to move on? Don't you want to do something different? I'm like, but there's so many women to paint and to celebrate and to recognize. And they're doing so much. So it can go on.
God. Okay, so we need to add to the wall.
Yes.
We're gonna get one of those women.
Fill the studio.
That's true. I know. But actually, one of the questions that when people, because we've already had a couple of recordings here, 5 recordings or so, and one of the things is, like, especially if there's any men or any, I was like, if you can name all these people on the wall, then are you a true feminist or not? That's like the test. I'm like, so far I haven't had anybody be able to do all of them.
Who do they struggle with?
They struggle with Serena Williams up on top, which no one can see. But I don't know why. I don't know.
Dolly as well.
Maybe Dolly a little bit. Dolly, no one can see Dolly.
That's
but
a younger version of her.
Younger version of her. But Frida, they always get.
I at first thought it was Erica's mom.
Oh yeah, you have to meet my mom.
I mean, I've seen some of the videos. She looks awesome.
I know. I was like, do you have your mom? We'll have to have her. She will be on the show next time, and you'll know why. We'll put it right behind her.
But the Gloria Steinman, that's the one. That's the
another
true
one that people
test.
struggle too.
Yeah.
But RGB, Frida,
course.
everybody gets. Like,
Amy.
actually, some people don't get RGB because of the glove. They're like, and I was like, that. I dressed up as her for Halloween. Actually, I'm like, I had the glove. I had everything. I'm like, how do you not know that?
I love that.
Because you're not a true feminist. But anyways, that's the test. That's the test.
Okay.
So I think what would be great is understanding like a little bit of history about you and who you are. And painting, has this always been you as a child? Like, we need to know a little bit more about your history.
Where'd the passion come from?
Yeah.
I've always loved painting, always drawing and painting. And even in school, like, it was always portraits for some reason. I don't know what it was about faces. And the funny thing is, and my friends always tease me about that, is I'm very good with names and faces. But if you ask me about what I did last week, I'm like, my memory is terrible. But names and faces, I think I get that from my father, and he was always so good with that. And my brother's really good with that. My mom is terrible. But
we'll let her know. Well, she has a recording of it now.
yeah, it's just always been a part of my childhood. My mom was always sketching as well. And so it was just kind of always there. And then in high school, I took IB classes, AP art classes, all of that. And then in college, I had to decide, or university, I had to decide what I wanted to do. And of course, I wanted to be an artist, but my parents were like, nope, you got to do something that makes money. So
isn't that the typical answer that a lot of artists, hear?
So I studied graphic design at San Jose State.
Cheers to San Jose State.
Oh, look at that. And you all didn't ever cross paths?
No.
I
graduated 2001.
I graduated 2000.
Oh,
that's shocking.
Yeah.
But I was working 30 hours a week. I took 7 years to graduate. So I didn't I wasn't involved in the school.
Okay.
Now I'm totally involved in the school. Were you involved?
Are you?
Did you do? Yeah.
I mean, we were in the Middle Eastern Club. But otherwise, no, not really. I didn't do that much.
You were in the Middle Eastern Club. What's that backstory?
So when I first moved there, I heard about there was a Middle Eastern Club that all the Arabs would meet once a week, and then they'd have events and, like at school and on campus, even outside campus, just to meet other Arabs, I guess.
You moved here to San Jose State for college, for university.
Oh, yeah. We need to understand,
where
did you come from?
Yeah, where did you start?
I know, because when we were talking, all of a sudden you're like, well, my mom lives in near California.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like 20 minutes from me. What's going on?
I know, because
we're talking in Dubai. I'm like, how does this compute?
Because you asked me, you're like, do you know South Bay? And I'm like, where? You're like, San Jose? I'm like, oh yeah, my mom lives there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did she move here with you? I gotta know.
Okay,
all the things.
you got it.
Let's
Okay,
move back.
we're gonna, even farther back then.
So I was born and raised in Egypt.
Okay.
Cairo. My dad was Lebanese. My mom's Palestinian. They moved to Egypt in the 70s, right before the civil war in Lebanon. So they got married in 1975, and the war broke out afterwards. So they were already in Egypt. But my grandparents, my mom's side, who are Palestinian, moved to Lebanon after they were kicked out of Palestine in 1948. Wow. And so they moved around the Middle East for a while, but then they settled in Lebanon. And then when the civil war happened in Lebanon, as Palestinians, they didn't feel very safe. And so my older aunt, my mom's older sister, was in Canada. And so they moved to her. So they immigrated and they moved to Canada. So we would have been Canadian if...
I know, I was going to say her.
Yeah. Wow.
But they couldn't handle the winter there. So my grandmother's brother was here, and he's been here forever. And so they ended up moving here early 75. Wow.
Okay.
No, 76. Sorry, 76. So we've been coming here, like my first time in California in San Jose was when I was 9 months old.
Oh my goodness.
wow.
So we've been coming. It's my second home.
It's your second home.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we were based in Egypt, and then in 97, my father passed away. And we were already here, my brother and I, for college because my grandparents were here. And my parents didn't want us to go anywhere else. They wanted us to be with family. And so after my freshman year, my dad passed away. And so my mom came to live with us. Her parents were here.
Wow.
My brother and I were here. So that's how I was in San Jose State, and my brother was too. So that's how we came here. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry you lost your father so young.
Yeah, he was really young. He was 48.
Wow.
Yeah. Heart attack. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't the healthiest of people, but
Right.
he was really young.
Still, I mean, it's still too young. My dad had a massive heart attack at 49, so heart disease runs in the family. You got to check all that stuff out, but it's scary.
It is super very scary. Yeah, and I had to, we all checked because he had very high cholesterol, but he didn't take care of himself. He didn't exercise. He was a smoker. He ate unhealthy, you know. And back then, nobody really
pressured. My dad was a smoker too.
Yeah.
Like all those things, you just didn't have all those healthy habits that you're aware of now.
So we all checked, and I have, of course, very high cholesterol.
Yeah, I'm taking cholesterol medicine for the first time, and you could do you could do like a heart scan for like calcium in your. Did you do that?
Yeah,
and I have like a score of 80. It's not good.
Oh, I don't know I can't remember what my score is.
Anyways, you should get that done, everybody.
I should. Yeah, I guess.
It's actually not. Sorry, on a tangent always, but it's not covered by your medical insurance usually. But it's only $130 test. It's like so simple. It's like when you get a scan for your your bones,
Yeah.
right? You see calcium, it's calcium, right?
Yeah.
But you do the same thing for your arteries and all that stuff shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, you should do that
But
test.
I've been on meds since I was 19. So,
Oh, that's early.
Yeah.
Okay.
They tried everything else.
Okay, so
but it
no
didn't
cheese
work.
for you? Do you eat cheese?
I
I
can't.
love cheese. I still eat
stopped.
cheese. You stopped?
Recently, but just
recently,
because
but
of
not
the lactose. Not because
Not because of the heart attack. I know. So
These are real life problems we're talking about
I'm sorry
here.
about everything that happened to your father, my father, but I still like cheese. I'm not going to give it
I
up right
love
now. I'm
cheese.
not ready. Not ready.
I cheat.
I
every
cheat.
now
Yeah,
and then,
yeah,
but-
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So moving on. So yeah,
You came here.
I came here for school. I studied graphic design because art
You
was
had
not
to
a
have
major.
a real major, which
Yeah.
art is a real
Yeah,
major.
yeah, it
Thank
is.
you.
But I was able to take all these art classes with awesome art teachers, and I don't know if you know Leroy Parker.
No.
Did you ever take
No.
any art classes?
No, I did. I only did the art requirements, where like history of art and stuff like that. I
Okay.
did that. I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah.
that. Yeah,
The
but
prereqs.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he was a watercolor professor and portraits as well. So he was just amazing.
I bet he's going to be so proud.
You know
when he
what?
sees
Well, you
this.
should send this to him.
I did, but he just never answered.
Oh, well, maybe now he will.
Maybe.
You know what? I'm on the board of San Jose State on several of their
I don't
their
know
innovation
if he's still
board.
there.
Oh, well, I'll
We'll
find out for
check.
you.
We'll
I will
find
find
him.
out. I'm on it. That name again is.
later. Yeah, and so then I graduated. My mom was already living here because she moved when my father passed. And then once I graduated, I wanted to find a job here. I wanted to stay here. But my mom was just like, let's try and go back to Egypt.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I don't want to. I want to stay here. And she's like, let's just try. If you don't like it, you can always come back. And so I ended up loving it. I got my first job at Leo Burnett Advertising as a graphic designer. I met my now husband 20 years ago there. So
Was he also a graphic designer?
no, he was in advertising,
Okay.
client servicing. So my husband had come to Egypt for a project from Dubai. He was working in Dubai.
Oh, he's from Dubai.
Yeah.
He grew up in Dubai.
Okay.
He's Lebanese.
Okay, got it.
Grew up in Dubai. And so he was in Egypt for a couple of years. We met, and then he had to move back to Dubai. And he's like, why don't you come check it out? My best friend was living there as well from high school. And so I ended up moving 2004.
Okay.
And I've been there since. I've left a few times, came back to the States for a few years.
Yeah.
Boston, Houston.
With him
With
together?
him, with his
Okay.
work. 2009, he decided to quit advertising and he wanted to do his MBA. So we moved to France for a year.
Oh, wow. You've been
Awesome.
around. You've been everywhere. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Where in France?
Fontainebleau. So there's the INSEAD Business School.
Okay.
It's 40 minutes out of Paris. So he would go to school. I would take the train to Paris. I'd take art classes.
Wow.
And that's when I
Wow.
started actually focusing on art more.
Got it.
I was still freelancing here and there.
As
with
a graphic
design.
designer
Yeah.
and doing that
Yeah.
to just move forward.
But that was the start of your pivot
Yes.
away from graphic design and
Absolutely.
focusing fully on your art.
Absolutely. And of course, in Paris.
Wow.
That's
That's
when
the
I fell
perfect
in love.
place. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah. And so ever
Beautiful.
since, so how long has it
That
been
was
where you're
2010.
okay?
9-10.
9-10.
Then he finished. We moved back to Dubai, 2011. I looked to find jobs in design, but I just wasn't passionate about it anymore. And so I decided to just continue working on my art.
Wow.
And yeah.
Was it hard to make that decision? I
Yeah,
mean, being, of course, in the corporate world and
Of
as a
course.
graphic designer, and then, you know, and
For
then like that
sure.
guaranteed paycheck, and then all of a sudden now you're relying solely on your. How was that transition, or how was that transition?
It was very hard because I also worked throughout college, and you know I was helping my mom out, and so it was definitely hard to not get that paycheck. But that's why I was freelancing also. I mean, I didn't make that much, but at least I had a little bit
Right.
to spend on myself
Right.
and feel like I'm contributing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was hard, but then I don't know, it just worked out. And then when I had my daughter, I just kind of took time off completely from everything
Wow.
and just kind of started, raising her, and then.
But that's the beautiful part about a partnership and starting a family.
Yeah.
You're focusing where you need to be focusing, and you two decide.
Yes.
And then once you're back and ready to get into the workforce again, what that looks like for you could be different.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And now you're pursuing your passion, and
Yes.
that's such a beautiful thing.
And just to give my husband credit, he's super supportive.
That's great.
Always helping me out, always supporting me with any decision I make. And I still freelance a little bit now, but it's just projects I want to work on.
Yeah, so you're more selective.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I'm interested in that, or like maybe ground up work or something like that. Wow.
Yeah.
So how much of your time is actually working on art today?
So I want to say, tennis is my other
Okay,
passion.
let's hear about it.
Oh, you're going to be a tennis pro too?
Her mom teaches tennis, and that's how, well, we'll go back, reversing the story. Valerie, who introduced me to her, she actually knows
My
your
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
That's what's weird, from tennis lessons.
Tennis lessons, and through my grandmother who knew her mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought she found you on Instagram and
No.
was
Well,
a
she did
fan,
that,
too.
but she found, I don't
Yeah.
we'll have to ask her. I wish she was here. I put her on the couch. Yeah.
So Valerie, I think through my mom, she's like, mom was telling her my daughter's an artist in Dubai. And so she started following me.
Wow.
And so she introduced us. Yeah.
So you're playing tennis.
Oh, yeah,
You're a
so
tennis.
tennis.
You're a
So
tennis
mom's
star.
a-
Also, is that why you were so inspired with Serena Williams?
Of course. I mean, I have a whole series of tennis players.
Oh,
Actually.
wow.
Yeah.
Anna Kournikova? Is that one?
Yeah, she is one. but-
Okay. You don't have a painting of
No,
her yet?
she said
Yeah.
no.
No.
She's selective on the
I
tennis
am.
players that she actually paints.
Because Anna was pretty.
Oh.
And she played tennis, but she's more of a model, I think. than
She
a
is
tennis-
very model-esque,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a whole tennis series.
Yeah, because I'm part of a tennis league in Dubai, a women's tennis league. And so the club that I play for, she opened up little cafe store kind of thing, and she asked me if I wanted to showcase my work. So I did a series of tennis
how
players.
cool is that?
Wow.
Yeah. So they're in her.
Oh, we need to see a
So
picture
question for you.
Sure.
Does she have your original Serena or do we?
No, you do.
of that.
She doesn't have Serena.
That's so cool.
Yes.
That's a win.
She does
That's a
not.
win.
That's exciting.
Very.
So tennis,
Okay.
back to
Yeah.
your original question. Tennis is 3 times a week because part of the league, I have to go to practice on Mondays, matches on Tuesdays, and then I have my own practice on Thursdays. And so that's my morning for a few hours. And then I come back, I work on this till I have to go pick up my daughter. So I always have to put an alarm on
Wow. Yeah.
to remember that I have to go pick up my daughter.
Because you get lost.
Yeah.
You-
I
Well,
do.
yeah, and
I
you have
do.
multiple roles in life. You're a mom.
Yes.
Many women are that way, where you have your work,
Yes.
you have your family role, you have so many things that you are to so many people.
Yeah.
And how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to balance it all out. It really is, but it's everything that I love. So even though it's hard, it works.
Yeah.
So when you're creating the art, you're saying it's not always by request, it's just like what you want
Yeah.
to paint. And
Yeah.
so you create an inventory. Like I honestly have no idea how it is to be an artist. Like do you create that inventory and then you do showcase it? Like how does an
So
exhibit?
I have a list. I have a list of women
Okay.
that I want to paint. I haven't gone through all of it, of course, because there's just
How
too
long
many.
is that a list like that?
I'll show you. It's long.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. And then I get requests also.
Okay.
So I put what I want to paint on pause when I have the requests.
Requests.
Yeah.
And so when you're painting, I'm just curious about
Sure.
like, are you listening to music? Like, what is your zone of? Because you said you get distracted. You have to put a timer to remember to pick up your daughter, which you love and you'll never forget. But
It's like you're in your own little world, right?
but you're in that zone. Like, how do you get in that zone? I just think like we all try when we get in our craft. Like engineering back in the day when I would code, I was like, I just need blocks of time,
Yeah.
like 4 hours, and listen to music and get stuff
Yeah.
done. Yeah. How does it work in your
Yeah,
world?
so I have my own space, which is great. And yeah, I put on music and I start sketching. Like there are a lot of times where I sketch and resketch, and
Okay.
it sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes I have to redo a lot of the paintings because it just doesn't work. Like,
do you look at something or is it in your mind?
No,
like,
I have images.
You have images,
and a lot of times I use my design skills to reconstruct images as well. So like I add things and remove things, and so just to kind of try something different. But on the most part, I sketch from an image, but then the painting is a bit different. It's without that, yeah. Wow. So yeah, I'm in my own little zone.
So when you're in your zone, is anybody ever brought into that space with you, or you're always alone in your own
Is it like,
world?
leave, lock the door, don't come in here? You get irritated.
I do. I don't like anybody being there. I really don't. No. It's even my daughter sometimes, like if I'm working on the weekend, she's like, can I come and hang out? I'll be quiet. I'll sketch. I'll do whatever. So I put her a little table and something to do, but a lot of times she'd start asking me questions, and I was like, okay, no, get out.
Well, because you're a role model for her at that point. So it's like, I'm seeing my mom doing these amazing sketches, these amazing watercolors. I want to emulate that. And how do I do that? You've had the training, you've had education that's focused on this stuff, and she's young and bringing up. And so I could see that balance of like, you want to teach her the ways, but also you need
to be in your zone
focus
to
time.
doing
That's hard to balance. How do you balance that?
It is hard.
Do you make time do you work with her on?
Yeah. I mean, there are times where I actually do, but I don't have the patience. Sometimes.
Be honest.
A lot of
can
us
she draw?
don't.
I mean, she has a natural instinct?
Yeah, she's pretty creative. She writes more than she draws. Like right now, she wants to be an illustrative author. That's her dream.
Oh, that's cool.
When she was a bit younger, I think she was drawing a bit more. Now, not as much. But yeah, I used to try and help her, but I don't know how to teach either. So it would get a bit frustrating because I'm like, no, but you do it this way, and she'd do it wrong. And I'm like, but I don't know how to guide her. So we'd go on YouTube, or I'd ask somebody.
Yeah, the technique.
Ask somebody else to tell your daughter, because I know just like our children, they never like to hear it from their parents, but they will listen to somebody else. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that the phrase that those who can't do teach, and you can do, so you don't need to teach it, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I just I don't know how to teach. It's hard.
It is hard too. But just don't take it personal. I just have 2 kids. I know how it is. But so I guess switching gears a little bit. Another thing, obviously, I follow you on Instagram, and I know you're very passionate about Palestine and Palestinians, and I would just educate us for a moment of where that passion is. Not, we don't have to talk about the political side and all that stuff, but like, why for you is that so important? I see that, and I see it also in some of my friends' feeds, like Valerie, and I think that's a common connection that she has with you too. And so, I just would love to be a little bit more educated.
So growing up, I think my parents tried to shield us a little bit from all the political stuff. So we always knew that my grandparents were Palestinian, but we just didn't know the details of it. And so we were always Lebanese growing up. Lebanese in Egypt. And the whole U.S. connection, my grandparents were here because they had to leave, but we just weren't interested in any of that. And we didn't, again, I think even my mom used to say she was Lebanese. And so I think as I got older and I became more interested in our culture and our history and all of that, especially in the last maybe 10, 15 years, I started trying to understand where we're from, what our culture is like. And especially with what's happening right now, it's like, this is what I just feel like I need to do something about it, right? And the only way I know how, the only way I can make a difference right now is to just share information. Even though a lot of my followers are Arab and they know the history, there are a few that don't.
I don't. And that's why it's so interesting to me.
And so I have a few people who come up to me and tell me, just keep sharing because you're educating us. So I just became passionate about it the last 10, 15 years. And it's people I've been meeting as well, the Palestinians in Dubai who have always been active and vocal about it. And I became more interested in knowing and understanding and just trying to advocate for them somehow.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I'm working on the next series of women, is Palestinian women, and I'm hoping I have a solo show coming up, and I think I'm going to dedicate it to the Palestinians.
Wow, that's going to be beautiful.
Where is your show?
Yeah, where's this going to be?
I have to figure that out because the guy you met in Japan.
Oh yeah, that's another story.
That's a whole other story.
We'll talk about
Talk about it now. You're right here.
So this is what's so crazy is because we met online and then you and I went to Dubai.
The world's how they've been colliding and intersecting
but not
in weird
allowing
ways, but
us
not
to meet.
aligning is weird.
It is so weird because her and I went to Dubai and then we had already met you.
Yeah.
I met you online and I said, hey, I'm going to Dubai. Maybe I get to see you. And you were like by one day
traveling.
You were traveling like one day.
Yeah.
Were you going here or
No, Egypt.
No. Okay,
Egypt.
you were going to Egypt. Okay.
And then her and I were talking because we became like friends online. And I said, I'm going to Japan. And she's like, I have an exhibit there in Japan. I'm like, are you kidding me? She's like, it's in Tokyo. And I'm like,
that's where I'm going.
That's where I'm going. And then it was the day I was landing in Tokyo, and
it was the last day.
And it was the last day your exhibit was there. I took my husband and my kids, and I'm like,
them all.
I dragged them all. I'm like, as soon as we got off that plane, we're gonna go see Caroline's art wherever it's at. And so we winded up in this really cool art district of Tokyo, which was like pretty amazing. We go to Japan like every year for the last 15, 20 years, a lot. And then I start texting, I'm like, I can't find your stuff. Where is it? And then I started asking everybody, where is her stuff? And it was just the last day, and they had just taken everything.
It swapped it all out.
No, did you have a story now?
Uh-huh.
You have a story?
We actually didn't take any of it.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I know. I was really upset. I kind of.
Oh, so you
gave
have?
him a hard
We didn't
time.
talk about it after that.
No, we didn't.
So
so you know how someone broke into his
he
house.
said he broke into his house and stole
somebody
his laptop.
stole his laptop, his phone, everything, and so he was just all over the place. And he's like, a lot of the art I shipped, and yours I was taking by hand. And because of all of this, I couldn't take it with me.
Oh.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's why I couldn't find it.
Yes.
Because I can't tell you how many times I went up and down the
thank you
stairs
for
and everything.
doing
And I was
that.
like, I'll be on the ground, feet on the ground, find out.
No, he finally got in touch with me and apologized and said,
well, that's okay.
Yeah,
Does he still have your artwork and
he
you're
does,
giving it back, or
and
how does that work?
No, because so what I'm doing with him, it's a collaboration where I gave him 6 of my pieces. One of them is the other Frida.
Yeah.
I have the better Frida, just so we're clear.
You do, the bigger, better Frida. And he rotates them in different pop-up exhibitions in Europe. And so the Tokyo one was his first one.
I see.
But he's having another one end of November. And he's like, I promise I'm going to take your pieces this time.
In Tokyo?
Yes.
Well, my husband goes there like every month. I'm going to have him every other
End
month.
of November. I'm going to try and go. Yeah.
End of November?
great.
End of November. You want to come?
Oh, yeah. Who knows?
Hey, make a
wanna
trip.
come?
I don't know. Anything's possible. Yes, maybe. That might be happening. Yes. Okay. So end of November, he's going to.
Yes.
Okay.
29th of November. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
wow.
But right now there's another one in Prague and another. So he's
How does that whole
rotating.
process work? So you find, because that's the next thing is how are you found? And so you have these partnerships with these different exhibits?
This guy approached me on Instagram randomly. And he basically supports up and coming artists, and you pay him a small fee.
Okay.
And for a year, you have a contract with him, and he rotates your work wherever he has
All around the
pop-ups.
world.
Yeah.
Wow.
So his main gallery is in Athens, and so every month he has a show there, and he puts a couple of my pieces.
Wow.
And so now there's another one in Prague. There's Barcelona. There's a bunch of places in Europe.
Okay.
Tokyo was the one that's out of Europe. I think he's just trying to expand. I think he had one in Mexico, but it didn't work out. I don't know what happened there. So he approached me, and it's been almost, in November will be a year with him. So within the contract, you get a solo show in any of his venues And so we just have to figure that one out.
You haven't done the solo show.
No, I haven't yet.
What do you do? Can you ask, or like, where do you want your solo show to be?
So I asked him, he said, honestly, the best place would be in Athens because that's where I have all my contacts.
Yeah.
And it's the bigger space. And so he's like, I would recommend that, but you could do it wherever you want.
Yeah.
So I think I'll do it in Athens. I mean, it's a great
I've been to
place.
Athens. Maybe I'll have to go back there too.
Yeah,
That
I'll
sounds
let you
great.
know.
Yeah, let me know. We're just
Very
follow
cool.
your art wherever it goes. What have you found has been more, I guess, benefit? You're showing everywhere. Is there certain like countries that is like working out? How has it been? I guess what is the ROI to be?
But that's the thing. Like I don't know yet. I need to meet up with him again. Like I met him when I first gave him my pieces, but that's it. It's always been on text or phone calls. So I need to ask him all these questions.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know yet. Yeah.
I mean, I've gained more followers, but I haven't sold anything with him. So
you have to see.
So how's that model work? I'm just curious from the business side.
model. Yeah.
So for him, you just pay him the fee, but he doesn't take a percentage of anything you sell.
Oh,
so whatever you sell is 100% for you.
Yeah, and then there's probably the get the word out of who you are. Like sometimes it's like planting that seed of here's this artist, and they see it, and maybe they don't buy it on the first time, but then they see it again somewhere else, and then it's like, oh, I want to buy that, and then it's always hard to like, how do you have that direct ROI?
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
But of course, you want to sell in those exhibits,
it would be
right?
nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah. There's a reason why they say starving artists, or
But I mean, not just art shows or word of mouth and finding you on Instagram and reaching out and saying, "Hey, make me these pieces in the next 3 weeks," right? How do you go about selling art? If people are interested, if like they love your artwork like we do, how can they find you? How can they commission work with you or find something you've already done and buy that?
So it's through social media right now.
Okay.
I haven't ventured out to
Instagram.
So Instagram's the best
Yeah.
way that you've
Instagram.
gotten the requests?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Caroline Ghantous.
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 Yeah.
Ghantous. I said it incorrectly.
Did you say
In the
Ghantous?
beginning. I said
Ghantous.
Ghantous in the beginning. Yeah, it's
So
okay.
if you want to say it properly, it's Ghantous.
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 Ghantous. That sounds French. Maybe
Maybe
Ghantous.
Greek.
Greek?
Okay.
Okay. It's for those of you who need help with this, like I do. It's Ghantos.
O-U-S.
Ghantos.
Yeah.
Caroline.
Well, we'll have all the blurbs and all that stuff.
We'll
That'll be
link
easy.
it. We'll link it. Look below. I don't know.
Subscribe.
But this was actually my first time requesting art from an artist. And it was kind of cool. I was like, is she going to be game for that? Like, can you do that? I'm just going to ask. Like, I had no idea.
But I've had a lot of requests. Like I've had commission work. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of my friends, a lot of people. Yeah, I've had a few pieces. But I did World Art Dubai, which is a big exhibition. They have two in Dubai. Art Dubai, which is a bit more high end. World Art Dubai is a lot of up and coming artists that aren't necessarily linked to a gallery. You could do it as an individual, and that's what I did. And that's when I felt things were growing. A little bit, moving forward. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Very cool. So I have to know, you said you have a long list that we can see. Who's the next top person on your list that you would like to paint? Sketch, paint, embroider.
Sketch.
Yeah.
So
are you going to continue
that
with
called
embroidery? Is that going to be the
yeah.
thing?
Oh, yeah.
Multimedia
Like everything?
art.
Okay.
So just going back to the Palestinians, I collaborated with this embroidery artist who does the Palestinian embroidery. It's very intricate, very detailed, like this kind of. This is Palestinian.
So you have to learn that.
Yeah, it's difficult. I've tried. I have it in a few of my paintings, but it's very simple. So I'm collaborating with her. She's actually from California as well. She's Palestinian American. That's her passion right now. She does the embroidery. It's called tatriz. So it's just part of the culture and tradition, all the dresses. I don't know if you've seen them. They embroider the chess piece.
Oh, wow.
And their dresses.
No.
And so we're working together on that. And so I've already, I don't know if you saw it, I posted one of them. So I'm doing 3 generations of women. So I did the older woman who's part of the older generation, and then the 3. And the whole point is, if you keep the traditions going and the memories and the culture going, it'll never die.
I love that. That's going to be beautiful.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be Palestinian women. Those are my next women. Okay. But I have a whole list of other women that I just
going to keep you going. You're going to be busy forever for the rest of your life. Yeah. Because last I checked, the global population, 50% are women. So you got a lot to do.
And we need to talk about them all, and showcase them all.
And we do.
Need to share
and we need to.
Yeah.
We need to. And they need to be everywhere. And it's just, it's so amazing. So thankful for your craft, and thank you for coming here and spending time with us.
Thank you so much. I really love what you're doing, honestly, and I think you guys are awesome.
We're just excited to finally get to meet you.
I want to paint you two as well.
Oh, God. Wow. You did. Actually,
so cool.
Why not you paint yourself?
You should paint you.
That's what Frida did all the time.
You should paint you.
Yeah. I know. Everyone tells me to do that, but it's just hard. It's hard to paint people you know. Like I have a friend who asked me to paint her mother who passed away. And I took a few tries.
Yeah.
It's just, because you want to get it right when it's more personal too.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not like a caricature art. It's you want it to be the real, raw, authentic portrait of that human.
Exactly.
And what you see in them through their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I always want to paint my mother as well, but then I feel like it's hard. It's hard to do it.
Too emotional?
It's too emotional.
Do you feel you won't do it justice or something?
Yeah. Exactly. I have to capture that right moment and
what version of her?
Exactly.
True. Like you have Dolly from how many years ago to what Dolly looks like now.
Exactly.
And not much change, to be honest. I don't think she ages much, but yeah.
Yeah. So which version of my mom?
Yeah.
You know,
that would be hard. That'd be hard.
But she's definitely on my list.
Yeah. And then what a gift if she was to see that. When she's here.
I think you should prioritize her on the top of your list for sure.
I think so. I think you do.
Are there any other women? This is another question that we love to ask. Are there any other women that you would want to pay it forward to and elevate in this moment that have maybe inspired you or encouraged you, partnered with you along the way that you've, shared struggles with in your art journey or otherwise? Is there a woman that maybe stands out to you?
You want to give a shout out and elevate?
Well, if it's okay, can I choose 2 people?
Yeah, people normally do.
Yeah, 2 women. One is my cousin who's been battling cancer for over 10 years. We grew up together. She's my sister. And we've just been through a lot together. It started off as breast cancer. And she got that treated. And she went through remission for a couple of years. And then it came back into her bones, so pelvic bone and spine. And she got that treatment. She's been treating it for a while now. But most recently, we found out that it's in her brain, and it's kind of spread. But she is always fighting. She's always wanting to live. She always wants to get through it. She's just a warrior. And when it first started, she was deteriorating really quickly. But after the treatment, I think she's almost back to normal and back to being healthy, but it's a long journey. Yeah. She still needs time. And then the second woman would definitely be my mother. She's been through a lot. She got married really young, had 2 kids by the age of 24, never went to college. And after my father passed away, she was 42 with 2 teenagers.
Jeez.
And so she came here because my brother and I were here for school, and she got a degree in accounting, and she started working, and she was working 2 jobs, one in a bank and one as an assistant tennis coach. And then the tennis coach that she was working with retired and kind of handed over to her. And it's been her thing for almost 30 years now.
Amazing.
And she's just a strong ass woman.
It sounds like we should talk to her next.
I know. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
being here. And I know this is not the end. This has just been the beginning.
Yes.
So, and thank you for spending the time, paying it forward and doing what you do, this craft and painting women. I mean, you're just going to be tenfold, just giving the voice to the voiceless and really making a difference in the world. And that's what it's about. So thanks for your work.
Much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
One of our key members of the HumanizeHer community right here will be showcasing your art for years to come.
Oh yeah, this is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We just need to add to it.
Yes.
I need paintings in the bedroom, everywhere.
Just ask.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.
I would like to thank our behind-scenes crew for HumanizeHer, our creative director and producer, Alex Sully, our talented director of photography and producer, Becky Davis, our director of brand and design, Kristen West. Your contributions are invaluable, and I'm grateful for the partnership in making HumanizeHer a reality.